The Book of Enoch is one of the oldest and most mysterious apocryphal texts. It is believed to have been written between the 3rd and 2nd centuries BCE and holds significant relevance for early Jewish and Christian communities. It was widely quoted by ancient authors, such as Tertullian and Irenaeus, who regarded it as an important prophetic work. However, its content sparked theological controversies, leading to its exclusion from the official biblical canon. Ancient Jews revered Enoch as an enigmatic figure who had access to divine mysteries that few could understand. In Jewish tradition, Enoch was seen as a man of profound wisdom, whose closeness to God was unparalleled. He is said to have received revelations about angels, heaven, and the structure of the universe. These revelations elevated his spiritual status, influencing the apocalyptic tradition that emerged later. The significance of the Book of Enoch lies primarily in its prophetic visions and its descriptions of fallen angels and their descendants, the Nephilim. These narratives, which describe both cosmic and earthly events, seem to have been quite popular among early Christian communities. The book offers a mystical interpretation of the cosmos and a theology that emphasizes divine intervention in human history. Despite its exclusion from the biblical canon, the Book of Enoch was preserved in part by religious communities in regions like Ethiopia and Abyssinia, where it remained a sacred text. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church still includes the Book of Enoch in its Old Testament, highlighting the influence it had outside Western Christianity. For centuries, the text was passed down orally and in written form in these regions, maintaining its relevance. The rediscovery of the Book of Enoch by European scholars in the 18th century brought its historical and spiritual value back to the forefront. Various versions were found, including one preserved in the Ge'ez language, sparking interest among mystics, theologians, and historians. The impact of this text has been felt both in the academic and esoteric fields, raising new discussions about what was truly omitted from sacred scriptures. Today, the Book of Enoch continues to be the subject of intense study and debate. Its exclusion from the official Bible raises questions about the decisions made by the early church and what led to the selection of canonical texts. Furthermore, its prophetic and apocalyptic narrative, involving fallen angels and giants, suggests there was much more to the theological development of that time than what was officially recognized. The exclusion of the Book of Enoch from the Bible is one of the most intriguing events in the history of the formation of the scriptures. The book was widely accepted by early Jewish and Christian communities, but was removed around the 4th century during the process of canonization. At that time, the Church was seeking to consolidate a collection of texts deemed inspired by God and suitable for liturgical and doctrinal use. The exact reason for the exclusion of the Book of Enoch remains debated among theologians and historians. One possible reason could be its highly apocalyptic content, which addressed the fall of angels and the existence of the Nephilim. These narratives may have been seen as potentially disruptive to the emerging doctrinal structure, which emphasized celestial order and the authority of the Church over spiritual matters. Another factor may have been the book's intense focus on themes of divine judgment and the future destruction of rebellious angels and their offspring. The early Church was dealing with various heresies that challenged its core doctrines, and texts promoting radical apocalyptic ideas may have been seen as a threat to theological unity and social peace. Additionally, Enoch himself, as a figure, challenged some of the established narratives about prophets and their relationship with God. The fact that Enoch was taken up to heaven without experiencing death placed his story in a unique category, which might have caused discomfort among church leaders who preferred to maintain a clear distinction between human and divine figures. Despite its official exclusion, the Book of Enoch continued to circulate in several Christian communities, especially in Eastern churches like the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. These communities not only preserved the text, but also revered it as an inspired work. This raises questions about the canonization process and how much it was influenced by political and theological interests. Over the centuries, the Book of Enoch remained out of reach for most Christians until its rediscovery in Europe. Today, many wonder what else was left out of the Bible and what this means for our understanding of spiritual history. The exclusion of texts like Enoch's suggests there may have been an attempt to shape a particular religious narrative, excluding those that didn't fit the dominant theological views. Enoch's prophetic visions are one of the most fascinating aspects of his book. He describes encounters with celestial beings and reveals divine secrets about the destiny of the universe and humanity. These visions include the fall of angels and the corruption they brought into the world, themes that are rarely explored with such depth in canonical scriptures. In the Book of Enoch, there is a clear emphasis on the concept of divine justice, where those who rebel against God, like the fallen angels, are severely punished. Enoch has apocalyptic visions of a future judgment in which these angels are imprisoned in cosmic prisons, and their offspring, the Nephilim, are exterminated. These events are closely tied to a vision of the restoration of both celestial and earthly order. These prophetic visions also address the cyclical nature of history, where good and evil are in constant conflict. The Book of Enoch describes a world in which evil temporarily prevails, but where divine justice always triumphs in the end. This creates an apocalyptic narrative of hope for the righteous and condemnation for the wicked, a message that resonated deeply with early communities. Besides prophecies about the end times, Enoch also has detailed visions about the heavens and the structure of the universe. He is taken by angels to different celestial realms and receives explanations about the workings of the cosmos, reflecting an ancient cosmology full of spiritual mysteries. This cosmic perspective reinforces the idea that Enoch possessed special knowledge that brought him closer to God. Enoch's role as a prophet, who not only receives revelations, but is also taken directly to heaven, distinguishes him from other biblical prophets. His visions are not merely warnings about the future, but detailed descriptions of the divine structure of reality. He is an intermediary between heaven and earth, with the unique ability to understand divine mysteries and convey this wisdom to humanity. Ultimately, these prophetic visions were used to justify a particular view of human and celestial history, where divine order always prevails. The destruction of the fallen angels and the Nephilim is seen as a necessary step to restore harmony between heaven and earth. Enoch's message of impending judgment and cosmic renewal continues to inspire theologians and scholars today. One of the most controversial aspects of the Book of Enoch is the narrative of the fallen angels and the Nephilim. The angels, known as Watchers or Grigori, were sent to earth to observe humanity, but ended up falling in love with human women and fathering a race of giants known as Nephilim. These events are seen as a major corruption of divine order and a factor that precipitated the flood. These fallen angels are described as beings of great power and knowledge who taught humans various arts and sciences, such as metallurgy, astrology, and magic. However, these teachings are portrayed as corrupted, as they led humanity to violence, war, and sin. The Book of Enoch suggests that the dissemination of this forbidden knowledge was one of the main reasons for humanity's moral degradation. The narrative of the Nephilim, the descendants of the fallen angels and human women, is particularly fascinating. They are described as giants with superhuman powers, but also as violent and destructive beings who brought chaos and terror to the world. These figures are seen as an aberration of divine creation, and therefore destined for destruction in the Great Judgment. The Book of Enoch details the fate of the fallen angels, who were imprisoned in cosmic abysses, where they await their final judgment. Enoch witnesses these events and records God's command to punish these beings. The destruction of the Nephilim and the imprisonment of the fallen angels are described as necessary acts to restore order in the universe after the corruption they brought to creation. The figure of the Nephilim also appears briefly in the Bible, in Genesis 6:4, where they are mentioned as the heroes of old, men of renown. However, the Book of Enoch significantly expands this narrative, offering additional details about their origins and their role in cosmic history. This expansion was seen as problematic by the theologians who shaped the biblical canon. These stories of fallen angels and giants echo in various mythologies around the world, suggesting that this narrative may have deep roots in ancient traditions. The concept of celestial beings descending to earth and mixing with humans appears in several cultures, raising questions about the universality of these stories and their impact on the development of religious traditions. The ascension of Enoch to heaven is one of the most enigmatic stories in the Bible. In Genesis 5:24, we find the phrase, "Enoch walked with God, then he was no more, because God took him away." This brief mention suggests that Enoch, unlike other patriarchs, did not experience death, but was taken directly to heaven by God. This account has generated several interpretations over the centuries, creating a mystery around who Enoch was and why he was chosen for such a singular fate. Jewish tradition greatly expanded Enoch's story. In rabbinic literature and Kabbalah, Enoch is viewed as one of the few humans to achieve such a high level of spiritual perfection that God elevated him to the status of an angel, transforming him into Metatron, the celestial scribe. Metatron is considered one of the most powerful angels, and according to some traditions, he is the leader of the archangels. Enoch's transformation into Metatron reflects a belief that the divine can grant spiritual ascension to exceptional human beings. In Christian tradition, Enoch's ascension serves as a symbolic precursor to the ascension of Jesus. Both were taken to heaven without experiencing conventional death, creating an intriguing parallel between these two figures. However, while Jesus' ascension is celebrated as a central event in Christian faith, Enoch's has been largely forgotten or minimized in the West, especially after the exclusion of his book from the biblical canon. Nevertheless, in other religious traditions, Enoch's figure continues to hold great relevance. In Islam, for example, Enoch is identified with the prophet Idris, mentioned in the Quran, as a man of great virtue and wisdom. Idris, like Enoch, was taken to heaven, and his story reflects Enoch's importance as a model of righteousness and divine obedience. This underscores Enoch's enduring presence in multiple religions, even though he has been marginalized in Western Christianity. Enoch's ascension suggests a unique closeness to God, a relationship that sets him apart from other biblical figures. This raises theological questions about what it means to walk with God, and how Enoch's ascension fits into the broader narrative of redemption and contact between the divine and the human. The absence of his story in canonical scriptures may indicate an attempt to avoid comparison with figures like Jesus, to maintain the latter's uniqueness in Christian theology. Finally, Enoch's story raises the possibility that through a virtuous life and deep connection with the divine, humans may transcend the limitations of mortal existence. This idea of spiritual ascension continues to fascinate scholars and mystics, who see in Enoch an example of humanity's potential to achieve unity with God. His exclusion from the Christian canon only deepens the mystery surrounding his figure and the reasons for his elevation. The preservation of the Book of Enoch in Ethiopia is one of the most fascinating aspects of its history. While the text was largely suppressed in Western Christian communities and eventually excluded from the biblical canon, it remained an integral part of Ethiopia's religious tradition. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church, one of the oldest Christian denominations, kept the Book of Enoch in its version of the Old Testament, allowing the text to survive over the centuries. The Ethiopian Church, with its roots in early Christianity, played a fundamental role in preserving various scriptures and traditions that were not accepted by Western Christianity. The importance that the Ethiopian Church places on the Book of Enoch reflects its vision of a Christianity closer to its Jewish and apocalyptic origins. For Ethiopians, Enoch is seen as a patriarch who had a special relationship with God, and his visions are considered important revelations about heaven and earth. The Ethiopian manuscript of the Book of Enoch, written in the ancient Ge'ez language, was rediscovered by European scholars in the 18th century. This manuscript is one of the most complete versions of the book and served as the basis for several modern translations. The rediscovery of the text in Ethiopia shed light on the rich Christian tradition of the country, which maintained a deep connection with biblical roots and apocryphal literature, almost forgotten in the West. The preservation of the Book of Enoch in Ethiopia also reflects the country's geographical and cultural isolation, which allowed its Christian traditions to develop in a way that was distinct from both European and Eastern churches. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church, for instance, also preserves other texts and practices dating back to the earliest centuries of Christianity, remaining faithful to a set of beliefs and scriptures that diverge from mainstream Western Christianity. The history of the preservation of the Book of Enoch in Ethiopia offers a glimpse into an alternative form of Christianity, where apocalypticism and the vision of direct divine intervention in human history are central. While the West moved away from such visions, adopting a more institutional and less mystical theology, Ethiopia maintained this connection to the apocalyptic and to Enoch's revelations, standing out as a guardian of a lost tradition. The fact that the Book of Enoch was preserved in Ethiopia for so long also raises questions about the relationship between power and theology. If the book was excluded from the Western biblical canon for theological or political reasons, its survival in Ethiopia suggests that different Christian cultures may have diverse priorities and theological interpretations. This preservation offers a unique opportunity for modern scholars and theologians to reconsider Enoch's role in the global Christian tradition. Enoch is described as a wise man and prophet who received profound revelations about the mysteries of the cosmos and the future of humanity. According to tradition, he wrote 360 books documenting these revelations, making him one of the first prophets to record his visions in writing. These texts were considered of extreme importance to ancient communities, as they contained knowledge about creation, angels, and humanity's final destiny. The Book of Enoch is just one of the texts attributed to him, but represents the pinnacle of his role as a divine scribe. In it, Enoch not only describes the heavenly events he witnessed, but also teaches humanity about the workings of time, the seasons, and cosmic cycles. This wisdom was seen as crucial for understanding both the natural and spiritual world, linking Earth's phenomena to the actions of celestial beings. Enoch's ability as a writer and transmitter of spiritual knowledge suggests that he had a unique role among the biblical patriarchs. He was not just a passive prophet receiving divine revelations, but an active recorder of divine mysteries. This positions him as a link between heaven and earth, someone capable of deciphering the universe's secrets and transmitting them in a comprehensible way to humans. His function as a divine scribe is also reinforced by Kabbalistic tradition, where Enoch, after his ascension, transforms into Metatron, the celestial scribe. Metatron is responsible for recording human actions and celestial events, ensuring everything is documented with precision. This role of intermediary between heaven and earth reflects Enoch's importance as one who understood and recorded divine mysteries. Enoch's work as a sage and writer also reflects a broader tradition in the ancient Near East, where scribes were seen as figures of great power and authority. They not only recorded historical and mythological events, but were also responsible for preserving and transmitting spiritual and religious knowledge. In this sense, Enoch can be seen as a precursor to other sages and mystics who played similar roles in their respective cultures. Enoch's role as a scribe and prophet raises questions about the role of writing and knowledge in religious tradition. The idea that divine mysteries can be understood, documented, and transmitted through writing suggests a more rational and structured view of spirituality. This contrasts with other mystical traditions, where divine knowledge is transmitted primarily through direct and ineffable experiences, without the mediation of the written word. Enoch is one of the few biblical figures to have been transformed into a celestial being. After his ascension, Kabbalistic tradition claims he became Metatron, one of the most powerful angels in heaven. Metatron is considered the divine scribe and occupies a central role in the celestial hierarchy, being responsible for recording all events in the universe and serving as an intermediary between God and humans. The name Metatron appears in Jewish mystical texts and is associated with the throne of God. He is described as an angel of light, with 72 wings and 1,000,000 eyes. Metatron is often portrayed as the leader of angels and as one of the beings closest to God. His prominent position in heaven reflects Enoch's spiritual importance and his transformation after being taken up by God. Enoch's transformation into Metatron suggests a complex theology, where a human being can achieve angelic status through a righteous life and a direct connection with the divine. This belief that Enoch was elevated to such a high position challenges the traditional view that humans are separated from angels by an impenetrable barrier. Metatron's figure suggests that, in some mystical traditions, this separation can be overcome. Metatron is also known as the Angel of the Presence, or Prince of the Countenance, and it is believed that he is the angel who stands before God, speaking on behalf of humanity. This function of intercessor makes Metatron a special being, with direct access to the divine presence. His proximity to God places him in a unique position within the celestial hierarchy, being the perfect intermediary between the celestial and human worlds. Enoch's transformation into Metatron also has implications for apocalyptic theology. As Metatron, Enoch would have a complete vision of humanity's destiny and the divine plan for the end of times. He would play a crucial role in the final judgment, helping to record the actions of both the righteous and the wicked. This reinforces the idea that Enoch, Metatron, is not only a prophet, but also a direct agent of the divine plan. Finally, Metatron's figure has been a source of fascination for mystics and esotericists throughout the centuries. His duality as both human and angel, as Enoch and Metatron, symbolizes the possibility of spiritual transcendence and the fusion between the mortal and the immortal. This vision continues to inspire those who seek to understand the mysteries of the divine and the human potential to attain divinity through wisdom and justice. The Book of Enoch not only offers a spiritual narrative, but also suggests that advanced knowledge, or ancient technologies, was transmitted to humanity by celestial beings. The fallen angels, known as the Watchers, taught humans a variety of arts and sciences. Among them were metallurgy, the making of weapons, cosmology, and astrology. This kind of knowledge, which was previously hidden, is seen as the primary cause of humanity's corruption. The idea that angels taught forbidden technologies to humanity raises many questions about the meaning of these teachings. Metallurgy, for example, is portrayed as dangerous knowledge that brought violence and destruction to the world. The Watchers also taught women to adorn themselves with jewelry and use cosmetics, which, according to the text, corrupted humanity's original purity. These teachings are often interpreted as symbols of material temptation and spiritual deviation. In addition to practical sciences, the Book of Enoch mentions the knowledge of the stars and astrology, which the Watchers also taught. This transmission of cosmic wisdom suggests that the fallen angels had a deep understanding of the universe and its cycles. However, this wisdom was used to manipulate human destiny rather than elevate it spiritually. Thus, forbidden knowledge became a curse, leading humanity into greater sin and corruption. These narratives of ancient technology and wisdom have been interpreted in various ways over the years. Some scholars see them as a metaphor for human evolution and the emergence of new technological and intellectual skills. Others, however, believe that these stories point to the existence of an ancient civilization that possessed advanced knowledge, now lost over time, and that the Watchers represent mythical figures from these extinct civilizations. In modern times, these stories have been linked to theories about lost technologies and advanced civilizations like Atlantis. The Book of Enoch fuels speculations about how these ancient civilizations might have had access to knowledge that would be considered advanced today, such as astronomy and engineering. These mysteries reinforce the fascination with the text, which, besides its spiritual implications, suggests an ancient and hidden understanding of nature and the cosmos. These ideas of ancient technologies and hidden secrets also connect with theories that extraterrestrial beings may have influenced human history. Some modern interpretations of the Book of Enoch suggest that the fallen angels could have been aliens who brought their advanced knowledge to Earth, contributing to humanity's development. Although controversial, this view demonstrates the lasting impact of the book in various cultures and fields of study. The Book of Enoch has deep connections with other apocalyptic scriptures, especially the Book of Revelation in the New Testament. Both works share a vision of an imminent end of the world, with divine judgment rapidly approaching. However, the Book of Enoch offers a more detailed and extensive view of the role of fallen angels and the spiritual forces involved in humanity's corruption. Just as in the Apocalypse of John, the Book of Enoch describes catastrophic events to come, including the destruction of the wicked and the restoration of divine order. Enoch's visions include images of heavenly realms, divine courts, and the final punishment for those who rebelled against God. These apocalyptic descriptions were a source of great inspiration for Jewish and Christian communities living in times of persecution, as they offered hope for divine justice. One of the main connections between the Book of Enoch and Revelation is the figure of the fallen angels. In John's Apocalypse, Satan is described as an angel who fell from heaven and was responsible for leading a rebellion against God. In the Book of Enoch, this narrative is expanded to include not only Satan, but also a group of angels known as the Watchers, who fell due to their desire to be with human women. These stories of angelic rebellion are central to both texts and highlight the cosmic battle between good and evil. Another point of convergence is the theme of final judgment. In the Apocalypse, the righteous are rewarded, and the wicked are cast into the lake of fire, a fate similar to that described in the Book of Enoch for the fallen angels and their descendants. However, the Book of Enoch offers a more detailed vision of the specific punishments for the angels and the Nephilim. This emphasis on cosmic justice reflects a shared vision that God will restore order and punish those who corrupted his creation. Furthermore, both texts use powerful symbols and imagery to describe the end times. In Revelation, we find the four horsemen, the dragon, and the beast, all symbols of destruction and chaos. In the Book of Enoch, these apocalyptic images are complemented by descriptions of celestial beings and cosmic abysses where the fallen angels are imprisoned. This symbolic and mystical language reinforces the supernatural nature of the events described and the spiritual battle being fought. Finally, the fact that the Book of Enoch was not included in the New Testament, despite its similarities with Revelation, raises questions about the formation of the biblical canon. Although Revelation was accepted, the Book of Enoch was considered too controversial and apocalyptic to be included. This suggests that throughout history, ecclesiastical authorities made selective choices about which texts should shape Christian theology, excluding those that presented alternative or more radical visions of the end times. Enoch exerts a great influence on various religious traditions besides Christianity. In Judaism, he is seen as one of the greatest patriarchs, and his ascension to heaven is an event of great spiritual significance. The most mystical Jewish texts, such as the Zohar and other Kabbalistic writings, place Enoch in a prominent position, identifying him with the archangel Metatron, who holds a high position in the celestial court. In the Talmud and later Jewish literature, Enoch is mentioned as an example of virtue and righteousness. His ascension without experiencing physical death is seen as a reward for his just life and his closeness to God. This has generated a series of legends and mystical narratives about Enoch, with several Jewish apocryphal works expanding his story. Therefore, Enoch's figure became central to Jewish theology concerning the connection between heaven and earth. In Islam, Enoch is identified with the prophet Idris, mentioned in the Quran as a man of great wisdom and virtue. The Quran states that Idris was elevated by God to an honored position, suggesting that, like in Judaism and Christianity, he did not experience a common death. Later, Islamic tradition expands this view, suggesting that Idris had access to deep knowledge about the universe and humanity's destiny, echoing themes present in the Book of Enoch. As in Judaism, Islamic tradition also attributes the role of sage and scribe to Enoch, Idris, someone who understood divine mysteries and transmitted them to humanity. He is seen as a precursor to figures like Noah and Abraham, and his contributions to humanity's spiritual development are widely recognized in Islam. His elevated status places him in a special position, serving as a bridge between the prophets of the Old Testament and Islamic figures. In Islam, Enoch Idris is also associated with hidden knowledge and esoteric sciences. Some Islamic scholars believe Idris was the first to teach astronomy, writing, and mathematics to humanity, reflecting the Book of Enoch's view that he possessed extraordinary wisdom. This association with divine knowledge makes Enoch a figure of reverence in both traditions, seen as someone who brought the light of knowledge to earth. Enoch's influence in Judaism and Islam highlights the importance of his figure in various religious traditions. Although he has been marginalized in Western Christianity, his presence in other religions shows that Enoch is a central character in the spiritual and mystical narrative. His ascension to heaven, his wisdom, and his role as an intermediary between the divine and the human continue to inspire believers from different cultures and religions. The rediscovery of the Book of Enoch in the 18th century was an important milestone for theology and academia. Until then, the text had been largely forgotten or relegated to minor religious traditions like the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. However, with the discovery of Ethiopian manuscripts of the book, European scholars and theologians began to explore its content and its implications for the history of religion. The impact of this rediscovery was felt in various ways. For biblical scholars, the Book of Enoch offered an alternative view of early Judaism and Christianity. It showed how early religious communities dealt with issues of good and evil, fallen angels, and the origin of sin. The text also revealed a rich and detailed cosmology that had been excluded from traditional biblical narratives. Besides its theological impact, the Book of Enoch also influenced the fields of archaeology and ancient history. Its description of the Nephilim and pre-flood civilizations led some researchers to consider the possibility that the text might contain remnants of ancient historical narratives, now lost. This contributed to theories about advanced civilizations that existed before the flood and left a hidden legacy of knowledge. The rediscovery of the Book of Enoch also generated interest among mystics and esotericists. Its emphasis on apocalyptic visions and spiritual beings descending to earth resonated with occultist and Kabbalistic traditions. Mystics and esoteric scholars began to explore the book as a source of spiritual wisdom and as a key to understanding the universe's mysteries. This interest led to new interpretations of the text, viewing it as a manual of esoteric knowledge. In the 20th century, the Book of Enoch gained even more prominence with the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, which included fragments of the text. These scrolls showed that the Book of Enoch was widely read and respected by several early Jewish and Christian communities. This discovery further solidified its historical and spiritual importance, leading to a renewed wave of academic and theological interest. Today, the Book of Enoch continues to inspire discussions about spirituality, science, and history. It challenges our traditional conceptions of humanity's origins and the role of angels in the world's history. Its rediscovery opened doors to new ways of thinking about the relationship between the divine and the human, offering an alternative view of sacred history that continues to fascinate and intrigue readers worldwide.